Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Dicey Devices.
This game is designed by Daniel Kim and is published by Origami Whale, who helped sponsor this video.
Let's go to the table and let's learn how to play. As always, you'll begin by setting up. Let's start with player setup. Each player will choose a color and take a player board, robot cubes, an Igor meeple, a pocket battery, and a scrap counter of that color, which you'll place as so. You'll then choose any character and place their card with the alive side face up on your character space. Then you'll shuffle all the prototype cards and deal 2 to each player. You'll choose one to keep and discard the other. You'll place your chosen card with a 1.0 side face up in section 1 of your laboratory. Next, you'll sort the starter deck. Each player will choose a deck and place each of the cards in the leftmost empty section of any row. If this is your first game, we recommend you place your cards in section 2, 4, and 5. In a 2-player game, you'll use 2 start decks and only use cards marked with a 2-player count. You remove the other cards from the game. Then, each player will collect 3 green charge cubes and place them at the bottom charge spaces of sections 10, 11, and 12. If you're only playing with 2 players, you'll receive an additional charge cube and place it in the second space in section 11, the shield. Next, each player will receive a weapons board. You'll place yours near your player board within view of all players. You'll collect the death ray matching your player color and place it on the left side of the weapon board. You'll place it on its side to indicate that your weapon is not active. Finally, you'll each take turns rolling a die to see who will go first. Whoever has the highest roll will receive the first player token and the lab dice. You're now ready for general setup. You'll first place the scrapyard in the center of the table within reach of all players. You'll shuffle all device, augment, and event cards into a play deck. You'll then draw and place a card in each sector card slot of the scrapyard. If you draw any when drawn cards, simply set them aside and draw a replacement instead. You'll then shuffle the when drawn cards back into the deck once every sector has a card. After this, place the deck near the scrapyard board. Each player starting with the first player will now deploy a number of bots equal to their player order. The first player will deploy 1, second 2, and so on. In order to deploy bots, you'll need to follow the deployment rule. You may only deploy bots into a sector if you will have the highest bot count after deploying your bots there. After this, you'll set all the remaining dice, charge, madness cubes, and a supply of set markers and sector modifiers within reach of all players. You'll shuffle the death ray modules and place the stack face down next to the set cubes. You're now ready to play. In Dicey Devices, you'll be using your robots, laboratory, and trusty assistant Igor to build and upgrade your death rate to incapacitate your rivals. You'll win the game if during your turn every other player is incapacitated. But fear not, there isn't any player elimination in this game. Being incapacitated will just cause you to lose a few aspects of your turn. You'll still be able to revive your character and continue building your death ray, hoping to be the last scientist standing. Now this game is played in turns, and each player's turn will consist of 6 steps. Revive, where if incapacitated, you'll try to revive your scientist. Blast, where if your death ray is active, you'll try to shoot and incapacitate other players. Lab, where you'll use your dice to activate your laboratory. Collection, where all eligible players will collect from the activated scrapyard sectors. Deployment, where you'll send your boss to the scrapyard. And cleanup, where you'll refill the spaces and rearrange your lab. Let's now go through each of these steps in detail. Revive. You'll skip this phase if you're alive, but if you're not, it's Igor's time to shine. If you're incapacitated, Igor will try to revive you from the operating circle. You'll have 2 chances to be revived. First, you'll roll the 2 lab dice. If you roll doubles, you'll be revived. You'll proceed to the blast phase. If you did not roll doubles, you may choose to pay 6 scrap to be revived. If you do, again proceed to the blast phase. If not, you'll skip the blast phase of this round and proceed directly to the lab phase instead. Now onto the blast phase. Here you'll try to blast other scientists with your death ray. You'll skip this phase if you're incapacitated as just mentioned, or if your death ray is not yet built. If your death ray is ready and you're not incapacitated, you'll proceed. You'll first choose a player as a target and turn your death ray in their direction. At this point, you may assign madness cubes to your death ray. Then, you'll roll the number and type of dice determined by your number of sets. The number of sets you have is how many blasts you'll be able to take and how strong they will be. If you have 1 set, you'll target 1 player and execute a simple blast, rolling a single die. With 2 sets, you'll take 2 separate super blasts, rolling 2 dice and choosing the higher die as your attack number in each blast. Finally, if you have 3 sets, you'll take 3 nuke blasts, rolling a nuke die for each of your blasts. If you roll this symbol, it counts as 2 unblockable hits. Now additionally, after rolling, if you assign any madness cubes, they'll increase your roll by 1 for each of the cubes assigned. At this point, the player you targeted will roll a 6-sided die for a defense roll. If you roll higher and the defender has no shields to use, you hit them and they are now incapacitated. They'll flip over their character and place their Igor on the operating circle. In a 2-player game, the incapacitated player may try to revive at this very moment. If they fail, the game is over. Now if you roll higher and the opposing player has shields, they'll lose 1 charge cube from a shield charge space and survive. If tied, you'll re-roll, and if you roll lower than the player you targeted, your death ray has missed. But you will gain a madness cube if you missed. Now let's talk about sets. The type of sets you can have are 3 of one color, 4 of one color, 4 different colors, and 5 different colors. When calculating sets, the same card can be used as a part of different set types, but you cannot count the same card more than once for the same set type. Special, event, and prototype cards do not count as colors and will not count towards your sets. As you play cards and collect various sets, you'll place a set cube on the corresponding set icon on your weapons board. It will remain there as long as the set is still present in your laboratory. As soon as a set is made, you'll also draw a death ray module and place it to the right of your weapon board. If you lose a set by losing a card from your laboratory, you'll remove the set cube and a death ray module of your choice. Now death ray modules add options for you to take additional shots at your enemies. You may use any of your death ray modules at any time during the blast phase, however you can only use each module once per blast phase. Once you've taken all your blasts for your sets and used any death ray modules you wish to use, you'll proceed to the lab phase. Here you'll first flip your pocket battery to your chosen resource, a bot or a scrap, and place it on the resource icon below any device in sections 1 to 9. You may even choose a space without a card. You could not though place a battery on a machine section 10, 11, or 12. The section in which you place your battery will activate regardless of your roll. It'll provide you the face-up resource on the battery and activate the card in its place if applicable. Next, you'll roll your 2 lab dice and assign them to the appropriate lab sections and or bank slots of your player board. Additionally, you may re-roll 1 or both dice if Igor is at Igor's perch. When assigning dice, you can split them up or you can add them together. If you split them, you'll place them on different spaces, matching the dice face value in your lab sections or the bank slots. If you combine them, you'll place them in a single lab section, which is equal to the value of the 2 dice. The dice you place in your lab sections will activate all the cards and resources in that section and every section to its left. When activating, you'll collect resources in activated sections, either a bot by placing an inactive bot into the deployable section, a scrap by moving up your scrap token, or a charge cube by placing a charge cube in the charge space to the right of the section. And you may use the activated cards in any order in addition to collecting the resources, if they have effects you can use. You'll notice that some cards also have combo effects, which can be used when a second card of the same color is orthogonally adjacent to this card. Also, don't forget to activate the section with your pocket battery if you haven't yet. Now let's talk about the bank slots. Assigning a die here will let you store that die for a future turn with one of your bots. You'll usually use an inactive bot when storing dice. A bot in a bank slot can be used on one of your later rolls to replace the face value of one of your dice, or to add to the value of the total value of your lab roll. When adding a banked value to a lab roll, you'll keep the dice you rolled, remove the bot, and place the dice in the lab section matching the combined value of the rolled dice and banked value or values. If your total is above 12, you can choose any row to activate, starting with the sections 10, 11, or 12. This is an overcharge. If you choose to replace a die face, you'll remove the bot and switch the die to its value. This can help with combat, scrapyard sector activations, which we'll talk about in a moment, and lab activations. Banking dice will be critical later in the game, especially as they're so handy in defense against your opponent's death rays. Lastly, let's quickly talk about charge cubes. Section 12 features a wild shot. You may remove a cube in the lab phase to shoot an opponent's laboratory to potentially destroy one of their cards. To do this, you'll roll 2 dice. The combined value is a section you hit. If there's a card there, it is destroyed. Remove it to the discard pile. If there's no card there, the slot is considered a miss. You'll remove your charge cube in either scenario. Section 10 is a battery. You can remove a charge here to use any card in your lab that has not already been used in that lab phase. And lastly, section 11 is your shield. You can remove charges from here anytime you're hit to prevent yourself from being incapacitated. Now, let's talk about the collection phase. Here, you'll take the 2 dice rolled during your lab phase and place them in the scrapyard sectors corresponding to the rolled faces. These sectors will now activate. If doubles were rolled, only one sector is activated, but you'll first place a sector modifier in that sector. You'll always check the modifiers when engaging with a scrapyard board and before collecting from a sector with a modifier. Additionally, if doubles are rolled in a sector where a sector modifier is present, you'll draw a new modifier and replace the one present. Now, let's talk about collecting. Starting with the lowest numbered sector, the most dominant player collects the card or 1 scrap. The second most dominant player may collect what was not collected by the most dominant player. The most dominant player is the player with the most bots present. Igor in a sector is worth half a bot in terms of dominance. If there is a tie for dominance, both players will roll a 6-sided die, and the player with a higher result is considered more dominant in that sector's activation. Now, to collect a card, you'll need to pay scrap. You'll lower your scrap counter by the cost printed on the top right of the card. You'll then place a collected card into your laboratory in the leftmost empty section of any row. If the card is an augment though, you'll place it in the corresponding section 10, 11, or 12. Now, there are many different types of cards you'll see in this game. Basic device cards, which will activate when used in your lab. Unique device cards, which will only activate when acquired. Augment cards, which augment your battery, shield, or wild shot abilities. And wild device cards, which don't do anything but can act as any color when acquired and at the start of every turn. Each wild can only act as 1 color per turn though. There's also event cards, which activate when drawn or when acquired, and special device cards, which will all do something unique but only once. They also leave your lab when used. If you're unsure of your card's effect, feel free to reference the rulebook for any keywords, descriptions, or frequently asked questions. Now, if you collected a card or a scrap, a bot or Igor must be brought back to your laboratory as someone has to do the labor to bring it back. A bot is placed back into the inactive bot space, while Igor returns to Igor's perch if used. We're now ready for deployment. Here, you'll first deploy your deployable bots to any sector of the scrapyard, as long as you follow one key rule. You may only deploy bots into a sector if you're able to have dominance in that sector after you place bots and or Igor there. Then you can deploy Igor. You can deploy Igor to Igor's perch, which allows you to re-roll 1 or both of your dice once during your next lab phase. The scrap summon, which will immediately raise your scrap counter by 1, or any scrapyard sector, which will increase your dominance by half a bot and will help you collect a scrap or a card in future turns so you can leave your bots in the sector instead. Additionally, you can choose to deploy Igor to the same location as the previous deployment phase or a completely new one. After deployment, you'll proceed to the cleanup phase. First, from the lowest to the highest numbered sectors, you replace any empty card slots in the scrapyard from the play deck. If you draw a when drawn event card, you resolve it immediately. You'll then discard the card and continue to fill the empty sector card slots. Next, you may swap the positions of any 2 cards in your laboratory's device sections. You can only do this once per turn. Lastly, you'll check to see if your prototype card can be upgraded. If all the charge cube spots are full, you'll remove the cubes and upgrade the prototype by flipping the card. It's now the next player's turn. Now you'll keep playing, building and shooting your death ray at other players until every scientist but 1 is incapacitated. The last scientist standing is the winner. Now once you're a bit more familiar with the game, feel free to add in the advanced device cards when creating the play deck. These cards do not need to be activated to be used, but instead will specify when they can be used. They also feature a tip mechanism to signify that they have been used. They will need to be returned to their original position in order to be used again, which happens when you activate them during the lab phase. Additionally, you can also play with the Igor blueprints. The way they work is when you position 3 of the same color of any card in a single row or column in your laboratory, you may choose whether or not to take the Igor blueprint of that color. You may at most have 1 Igor blueprint throughout the entire game, so once collected, you may not take another or exchange the one you have.
And that's Dicey Devices.
Do you have any questions? Leave them in the comments down below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
And if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, because we love talking and teaching board games.
And, of course, hit the little bell, because then you know when the next videos come out, we can all partake and enjoy board gaming.
Exactly.
Now, for our question of the day, if you were a mad scientist, what would be your mad invention? Let us know in the comments down below. We look forward to competing with you to see who invents it first so that we can use it.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.